killed himself. I've already been accused of uh, encouraging conspiracy theories, but we'll find all about that. Mr. Crypto, welcome.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on the show.
No, you're more than welcome. Is it just a conspiracy theory that John killed him was done away with? What do you think?
Are you asking me the question?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Well, some people say it was he may have killed himself. Others say he may have been murdered. Although his wife was interviewed when she on live, and she said he had no reason to kill himself because he was perfectly healthy, perfectly fit, perfectly happy to, So when someone's doesn't have any reason to commit suicide, then it's perfect logic that they would not commit suicide.
Okay. The point that was made to me that goes against that is, well, that he was a nutter who realised that his number was up. But was he one of these individuals who, although was in prison, had a chance to escape? How long was he looking at staying incarcerated for?
Well, some people, his like I stated with his wife, she wanted to try and help him, not get extradited. And she went to court. She went to the Spanish police as well, and he was getting quite a few support. So I don't believe. Some people say, "Oh, he was 75. He was on his end days." But he was perfectly fit. He didn't look like a 75-year-old. I've seen 75-year-olds how they look, and they're very, old age pensioners. He was very fit. He was eating very well. He was very active. He was also active in the crypto space. Some people say, oh, even the ladies that he was around, they were very young. So he didn't never acted like a 75-year-old. He was more of a 45-year-old. The way his lifestyle was, the food he ate, and just yeah.
Sounds like the opposite of me. I feel like I'm 75 already. There's the New York Post. John McAfee died of suicide. Autopsy results confirm. Right. So the official line is saying suicide, even though maybe he had a lot to live for, according to you. Joe, welcome. What's your take on this? What's your gut feeling?
I don't know. He, in his testimony to the Spanish court, I don't know what the context of that was, in terms of at what stage in the proceedings they took place, but I did see video of him testifying to the Spanish court that if he got extradited to the U.S., he would spend the rest of his life in prison. And I don't see, if they were gonna, I think it's very suspicious, obviously, and I always like to give this side of an argument that's not really being aired some, coverage. But personally, I think there's a good chance that he could have been killed by someone else. But on the flip side of that argument, who would do it? You do have to answer that question. And especially right after they ruled that he would be extradited to the U.S., if it was someone in the American establishment, you'd think that, they got what they wanted. So, they would just let him get extradited and then even do it on their own soil, or just, let him serve out his life sentence or whatever and serve his punishment. That doesn't really make any sense. So that's a question to be answered. That said, I'm still inclined to say that he probably didn't kill himself.
Good point. Mr. Crypto, what do you think about that? If he were to be extradited, isn't that what the establishment in America would want? And we'll explain why in a moment. But if so, then who would want to target him?
He did state that there's some people that are after him. You know, he did write. I remember he wrote a post about how he has some, I believe, MI5 and different organizations after him.
Okay, we just got a clip here, but you're still up, Mr. Crypto. Who did he say was after him?
Declared war on us. The SEC is trying to abscond with crypto
I don't know.
as if it were
Can you still hear me?
which it is not.
Yeah, Mr. Crypto, who did he say was after him then?
What can you do? Write your congressman. It sounds
Organizations after him, and they wanted him dead because certain information he had on them. But you have to remember that McAfee, he also created a security. I believe it's called McAfee security. For the computer, for
Antivirus, yeah.
Antivirus. So I'm sure that he can get hold of certain information.
Right. What sort of information, or do you not want to say in case we don't have you back on the show next week?
I don't know, and it's really interesting to know, to be honest. But if you're dealing with cybersecurity and you're dealing with antivirus, I'm sure you can get hold of certain information.
All right, we've just lost Joe, but we might get him back. Okay. So he may have had certain information. And where does cryptocurrency come into all of this? Do you think he might have been targeted for his promotion of cryptocurrencies?
Well, he's been promoting cryptocurrency from 2017. In fact, even before that, but in 2017, there was quite a few of them. One of them was called Verge, I believe, and a couple of others. So, and also he was pushing a lot of privacy blockchains, and government and corporations don't like privacy blockchains because it allows certain people and organizations to deal with each other without having an intermediary, which is a government, a payment company, allowing, for example, if I wanted to send to you, say, $1 million, $10 million, even $100 million, I could do that on a privacy blockchain and no one would know who I am and who you are. So he was pushing for privacy blockchain. His latest project, I believe it's called Ghost. Yeah, Ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on CoinMarketCap. If I can check. Yes, Ghost. So it's a privacy blockchain. It's not like
he would be cutting out
Ethereum
a lot of middlemen.
or Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, yes. And it's not even about cutting out the middlemen. It's about everything being on a privacy blockchain where no one knows who the sender is and who the receiver is.
Interesting. Okay, so could he have been killed? Maybe. Might he have ended up in prison? Was his imprisonment politically motivated, would you say?
Can you say that again, please?
Why was he in prison? What was he accused of?
He was accused of, I don't know. I haven't checked that part out, to be honest.
He was accused of tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
And he was boasting about the tax evasion.
Okay. That will get you landed in prison, I suppose. I've got to ask Joe now, do you see parallels between this and you know who I'm going to say? Mr. Assange.
Not like, I mean, there's certainly overlaps.
With extradition, for example.
Yeah, and I mean, they're eccentric tech guys. And I mean, international men of mystery, if you will, but mystery and intrigue, I mean, is limited, overlaps, maybe even parallels, but it only goes so far.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's get back to cryptocurrency, because that is Mr. Crypto's area of expertise. And I just want to ask you, firstly, why you are so in favor of it. Is it just the fact that you're cutting out the middleman? Is it a fairer way for people to trade?
Well, it allows, for example, myself, if I wanted to buy anything, I can buy anything, I can send anything, I can receive anything without the need of a central bank, the central banking system. The central banking system is the most corrupt identity corporation on the planet. If you look at every bank, from the Bank of England all the way to HSBC, they've all been involved in illegal activities. That's how they started in the beginning. Some people state, HSBC wants to stop cryptocurrency and stop people from dealing in cryptocurrency, or also the Lloyd's Bank of London. If you were to look at the foundations of the Lloyd's Bank of London, they made their money, because they were called the Lloyd's of London, through the transatlantic slave trade, through insurance, selling gunpowder, selling guns, ships. They used to insure all the African slaves, say that they were young and fit, and then throw them off a boat and claim insurance when they got to America. That's Lloyd's of London. HSBC, it made its money from Hong Kong, Shanghai Banking Corporation. They made their money from the opium trade, because they were selling opium from India to China, and they needed money to clean up. So they created Hong Kong and Shanghai, with the British, and they made the HSBC. So I believe that we are moving towards a more decentralized banking system, that allows people to lend, borrow, send to each other money without the need of any intermediaries or people in the middle. And I'm in favor of that, because also to store a store of wealth. Yes.
Joe, what's the banking system in China like now? Do they have a fairer system than we have?
I mean, it's a huge question. I don't know that I'm especially qualified to answer it. Like the financial system in China, I think, like the stock exchanges, they limit movements in any one stock to 10% in a day, and they'll stop trading on a stock if it moves in either direction, up or down, more than 10%. So they don't want people to ruin their lives with playing recklessly in the stock market and stuff. It caps the incentives for whatever kind of antics or manipulation or whatever speculation that is kind of, generally speaking, a loser's game that helps the big banks with huge teams of analysts. But I don't know. Is it a fairer banking system? I don't know. It's I would say than America? Probably, vastly fairer. If the discussion is in the context of cryptocurrencies, I think they've just banned cryptocurrencies or made a lot of restrictions on cryptocurrencies. And if that's what everyone is getting excited about, then you might say that that's unfair. It's certainly stricter. I would say that in terms of American banks, in the American banking system, like the Department of the Treasury and stuff, sanctioning countries like Iran and North Korea and Cuba and sponsors of terrorism. I don't know of the Chinese financial system perpetrating anything like that. But yeah, I mean, you talk about slave trading and opium trade. Like, I don't see any reason why that can't be conducted with cryptocurrency. I mean, there's nothing, inherently like morally scrupulous about the transactional integrity that cryptocurrencies can guarantee. And I mean, I don't know what's fundamental intrinsically corrupt aspect of banking. I guess it's generally like throughout time people have said that usury and lending and making money from money and turning money
Great
into
point.
more money without any labor. That's the decadent morally corrupt aspect of banking. And there's no reason why you can't lend crypto, and the whole DeFi field is now full of like yield farming in cryptocurrencies, and the same incentives exist. It's a sound money, but I mean the slave trade happened when the Bank of England used silver to guarantee pound sterling, and people talk about the corruption of the banking system, central banks. I mean, it's all a very confused rhetoric, right? Because they say that it all went downhill after Nixon gave up the gold standard, but the slave trade was all took place before Nixon abandoned the gold standard, and I mean, people talk about like Rothschild, like bankrolling the wars on both sides or whatever. That all happened. I don't know what currencies that stuff happened in, but I think that was. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do that with cryptocurrencies.
Okay. Brilliant points made, Joe. That's why I have you on here. I like that. What about crypto being like an offshore account? That's what Give Peace a Chance is saying. Is that a fair comparison? Go on, Anta.
Yeah, crypto is basically an offshore account. I can store all my cryptocurrency on a ledger. I can store it on an off-grid. No one needs to know what it is, how much I've got, when I'm sending, or anything. So yeah, it is basically like an offshore account.
What about this issue of usury? Are people charging usury? Are they making
or any moral corruption? You could trade slaves with an offshore account that has no transparency whatsoever. Either way, you're not going to stop cryptocurrency, and it has good sides as well. Of, for example, helping countries that are under economic blockades to bypass them.
And also, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's just I don't see a point in like whitewashing it and focusing exclusively on the positive points of it.
Well, that's why you're here to balance it out.
Government doesn't want to ban cryptocurrency; they just want to control it. As you see, everything's getting regulated. Majority of cryptocurrencies. So I've invested in a few regulated SEC cryptocurrencies because I know that government, banks, institutions, they want centralized cryptocurrency. But I'm also investing in decentralized cryptocurrency because that keeps me off grid and protects my assets from, financial institutions or banks, for example. So, and by the way, going back to, when we're talking about slavery, what I was trying to explain is these banks, they talk about illegal activity being done with cryptocurrency, but they were created with illegal activity, so they have no reason to, they have no moral, and until today they still carry on in illegal activity, dealing with the cartel, dealing with the cartel, dealing with terrorists.
Was
That's
slave
HSBC.
trading illegal at the time that it transpired?
At that time, no, it wasn't. But today,
Not at all.
if we were to talk about it today, it is illegal.
Nor was
And that didn't get
opium.
mentioned a lot.
But
did it? In the
nor
recent
It was
nor
the
the
was
way
Black
it
Lives
was.
opium
Matter
dealing
protests,
in
we don't seem
China.
to
The
hear
China
about
trade wasn't illegal till the
banks.
Opium Wars either.
Yeah, but it was the way it was dealt with. It was the way that it was dealt with, throwing people off the ships, killing people, moving them around
Oh yeah,
from one
that's
place to
illegal. I
another.
suppose it's fraud on the
That
insurance
is
company.
immoral. It's immoral. People have been dealing in
Well, it's
slavery for
dishonest.
thousands of years. The Arabs used to deal in slavery with the Africans, but they never. It was. I think the transatlantic slave trade took it to a whole new level. If we were to, I studied African history, so yeah. But until today, the HSBC is also dealing with with the cartel, with illegal activities, with terrorists, and it's been reported on the news. It's been reported everywhere. So they have no, the reason it's all about control. What they want, they just want to control everything. They want to control cryptocurrency. They want to control everything. Wants to be controlled. Everything needs to be controlled. They don't want to ban it. Government does not want to ban blockchain. Why? Because blockchain is going to save them a lot of money. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is amazing technology. I'm talking about allowing companies to deal with each other through the blockchain, allowing enterprise to deal with each
What
other
is
on
the
the blockchain.
blockchain?
It's like blockchain. You can go deep into blockchain, and it's like the supply chain. You got supply chain. You got AI. You've got all different types. The NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You've got decentralized finance, like you were talking about, with yield farming, with lending. If I want to lend someone some money, I can lend them some Ethereum on the blockchain.
Yeah, but it's not the blockchain. There's many, plural blockchains. There's multiple blockchains, and there's different
definitely
types
there
of
is.
blockchains.
Yeah,
and I think we should distinguish between, the thing about blockchain is that it's just a paradigm. It's like a rough blueprint. It's a framework of a blueprint for cryptocurrencies to be developed on, and it's like a paradigm. It's a shape for a general shape that Bitcoin pioneered, and it was like a design technique that Bitcoin is based on, and all of the other cryptocurrencies that are truly decentralized, they have been built using that same concept. But we should distinguish, and there's so many different cryptocurrencies. There's Bitcoin, there's Ether, there's Dogecoin, there's what is it called? Cum rockets, I think, for pornography. But there's the V chain. There's all of these different.
Which one's the best one?
I have no idea, but
Mr. Crypto must know.
But
which one's the best one?
So go on, Joe. Let Joe finish, and then we'll answer that question. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
Well, there's been an explosion of thousands of different, cryptocurrencies that are open source and truly decentralized, and they're truly transparent. We should distinguish between that, and there was a whole drive for the corporate institutions to appropriate this new, design phenomenon of blockchain, and they wanted to build their own systems using blockchain, and including Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum.
Thank you.
They're talking about they want blockchain for digital IDs, for vaccine passports, for I don't know, digital identity mainly, or for universal basic income, for actual currency. And they're talking about, what was it? The Financial Times, I think, a few days ago was reporting that, who was it? Like Bank of England or something had made remarks. Don't quote me on this particulars, but some official body had made remarks about how they were exploring solutions for money that could only be spent on essentials to further enforce the coronavirus lockdowns. And I mean, they already have systems like that. When I was in the US on food stamps, you get a special card, and it's not like a MasterCard. It has another kind of seal on it. It's not Visa and it's not MasterCard. It's another type of thing, but you swipe it at the card machines, but it can only be used for food items. And you get, $190 topped up on it every month. And you can't be used to buy alcohol or like sweets or candy or something. And it can only be used for food items. So these kinds of systems, kind of in crude forms, exist already, but there's nothing decentralized about those. I don't know what the fixation on, blockchain technology is on the part of these, very power-hungry institutions. I don't know what the obsession is. I mean, there's when it's based on cryptography and cryptology, it implies a guarantee of the integrity of the messages that are on there. So it's impossible to fake or forge. So if you have like a vaccine passport and it somehow, like, you have cryptographic signatures that certify that somebody has had their vaccine or had their COVID test or something, it becomes impossible for them to forge that. And I guess there's this accountability. But we should distinguish between systems that are genuinely, like, springing up by people who want to further, like, decentralization and transparency, versus, like, power-hungry institutions, powerful institutions that are seeking to consolidate their power and to have total accountability from the population.
Mr. Crypto, you are in. I'll just read the poster. Banks are stealing money. Become your own bank and never let anyone steal your cash again. It sounds like Joe is a little bit skeptical about that, and crypto could be abused in much the same way that the current banking system is.
Well, it's quite different. It is quite different. There's big differences.
Yeah, that's like everything. Everything gets. It's like the internet. The internet was revolutionary when it came out, and as time went by, it was abused. So, and that's just like blockchain, cryptocurrency. But that's why you have decentralized cryptocurrency and centralized cryptocurrency. Centralized is more like, for example, like you were saying, I could have a building. I want to buy a building. I can buy a building and I can have it on the blockchain. That means it's not going to be counterfeit. It's going to, the people who buy the property from me, they know where the property came from. When I bought the property, it's going to have signatures to state that that property belongs to me. Just like with vaccines, just like with anything else. So yes, there is centralized and there is decentralized. Decentralized is when I want to borrow money or I want to lend money or I want to save money. I can do it without having the bank. It
reminds me.
Example,
go on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's like if I want to go into a bank and I want to send some money abroad, I've got to send only probably about 2,000. I've got a maximum to send. Whereas if I do it on the blockchain, I can send up to 1 million, 3 million, 5 million.
And no one can control you.
Sorry?
And no one can control you.
and no one can control me. But this is not a new system. We've always had, since the beginning of time, we've always had a decentralized system, DeFi. Yeah, it was only when the centralized bank came into power that everything became centralized. Why should a bank or an identity or a person control my wealth?
It reminds me a little bit of the legalization debate regarding some drugs. I know Joe Plumas has never touched a drug in his life, but some people do. And they say that if it were legalized, the government would just tax it heavily, and they won't do so until they're able to do that. Whereas if we just grow our own, we can reap the benefits. Also, thank you to Carol, who said everyone send Julian 1 Bitcoin. I wouldn't know where to receive a Bitcoin if you did send me one, but thanks for that. Crypto is already taxed. Is it already taxed? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
well,
it's
legally
taxed.
speaking, it
Okay.
is. You're required to declare your crypto gains as any capital gains.
20% capital gains tax. There you go.
Well, it depends
You're
on what
required
you
to, but
do.
is it
Only if you
easier
sell.
to hide it?
Only if
There
you
you
Yeah,
go.
sell
it's
it.
much
Only
easier
if you
to
sell.
hide it if you care to do so.
Only if you sell it.
Interesting.
Yeah, only if you want to
Okay.
send it from, let's say, for example, I've got some cryptocurrency in an exchange, and I think it's time for me to sell. I've got about about say £50,000 worth of cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
I can send it to a bank, and then
Earlier than that, Carl.
I pay tax. I pay taxes on it. I pay 20% tax on it.
Okay. And Give Peace is saying illegally but hard to enforce.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Let's have a look at one more story from the news. This is Yanis Varoufakis said that while blockchain is a remarkable technology, replacing fiat currencies with Bitcoin will only make crises worse. Right, sounds like he's against it then.
Yeah, he's also an enormous attention whore
Is he?
without very many.
We should get him on the show.
This
Tell
was
him
the
if he
guy.
wants to come on.
This was the guy supposedly who destroyed the Greek economy.
Wow.
He's more into the euro, the
I
centralized.
don't know if I would have said
euro.
that.
What would you have said, Joe?
I don't know. It's been a while since this guy has occupied my thoughts. But I think he's held up as a progressive leftist figure.
I think he's a good friend of George Galloway, isn't he? I feel like I've met him in a studio.
I could well imagine it. I don't know. It's reformism. The KKE have done some good critiques of him, fairly vitriolic ones too.
They're usually the best. Euro is a new world order plan. Well, if you want to talk about the new world order, there's a video on this channel from Patrick Henningsen. Joe and I saw him at the weekend. You're welcome to watch it. We'll talk about that another night, I think. I don't know, Mr. Crypto, do you buy into the idea of the new world order, and this is something that we should all be wary of?
Well, to be honest, I'm for about 8 years of my life, I was very deep into what's going on with the New World Order, and I do believe that there's a certain organization that wants to create eight economic unions, with Europe being one of them, the African Union being one of them, and some others, because it's easier to control and to have a one world currency. So this has been promoted by George Bush Sr., who stated that we are moving towards a new world order, and a couple of others. So I do believe that that's what they want to push. One digital currency that is controlled by one economic super powerhouse, and they can get deep. There's a lot of conspiracies from people stating that they want because as soon as the dollar crashes, there's going to be a certain country that's going to control the world
Thank you.
through a digital currency.
Okay.
So it can get deep. It can get very, very deep.
No, I get that, and we can talk about that on next week's show, maybe, or whenever you want to come back and speak to us. I think we'll do a part 2 on this one. I'd love to get you two back on the screen together.
Yeah, thank you. I think if it was more well prepared, I would have prepared myself more for this.
I think you prepared yourself very well. We've got final advice coming in: buy gold, buy Bitcoin, buy guns. That's the views of Carol Kellner and not myself. But maybe just round us off with a little bit of advice. Is it as simple as saying invest? I know it's not as simple as saying invest in Bitcoin, invest in Ethereum. But what would you say to people who want to protect their finances? What about buying gold? Is that not just as safe as some of these online options?
As they say, gold is the money of kings. And whenever there's an economic reset, whenever a government goes bankrupt, they always measure their wealth not by how much digital currency they have, but how much gold they have. So, and also banks. Whenever there's always been a reset, there's always banks have always gone back to gold. Whenever there's economic problems, economic downturn, everything goes back to gold and silver. So yes, gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. I don't know about the last part where she said buy guns. In the UK, you can't really buy guns, but in the United States, you can. That's why I don't believe a New World Order will be very easy to happen in the United States of America, because they're very strong people, Americans.
Wow. BB77 is saying great reset. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and we will do it all again soon. This has been Lessons for Life. Thank you, Mr. Crypto. Thank you, Joe Plummerson.
Thank you.
Remember the golden rule: whoever has the gold makes the rules. I think that was from Aladdin. We were here and we're gone. Later.